Welcome to Talent Pop Podcast, where we will provide tips and strategies for success in sales, networking, marketing, and business. We will be learning from real stories that will inspire you to unlock your potential, discover your talents, and develop the confidence to take action on your biggest dreams. We are focused on empowering women to connect their passions with their purpose to find true fulfillment. It's time to pop off, queens.
Pop off, queens! Hi, this is Amanda O'Connell, your host of Talent Pop, and I'm here with a special guest today. Her name is Wei Jing, and she is the founder of Knitly. We're going to talk about that, but just her journey. We're going to dive into her journey a little bit, how she got to become an entrepreneur and how she kind of left that corporate space, how she's making it all work right now. And yeah, we're excited. So welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I would love to hear a little bit about just your background, kind of how you jumped into this business, and yeah.
My background is the exact opposite of what I do now in a lot of ways. I went to college for music. I went to Berkeley right here in Boston, studied music business and flute performance. I worked in orchestras for about a decade, so the nonprofit space.
Yep.
And very quickly discovered what nonprofit burnout looked like. So
yeah. What types of things were you doing for the nonprofit? Like what?
So I worked with the Boston Pops, and I did contracting, artist services. So every time we had a guest artist, everything to deal with their logistics.
Oh, wow.
From contracting straight to their logistics, to their entire experience. So it's very similar to front-facing, high-end customer service type position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the nonprofit burnout, tell me a little bit about that. I mean, it's like weekends, but you're passionate about it,
Yes.
coming from like the arts. And I know we connected, previous to the podcast just on, I also work for a nonprofit, so I understand that, but maybe describe that a little bit, what that's like.
Well, there's such an appeal into going into that area because obviously it's an area that I was very passionate with. I think the result of that is that you pour yourself into the work so fully, and the hours are very different than a normal 9-to-5 job. I found myself working, 7 a.m. through 11 p.m. some days, 60-hour weeks during, performance seasons very often.
But it's exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
But then you, after it's done, you're also like completely drained.
Yeah.
And I think those were the very difficult periods to get out of. And that's when you start reflecting, oh my God, I'm exhausted. What am I doing?
Yeah.
And on top of that, unfortunately, the nonprofit space has a bit of a talent retention issue.
Yes.
For a lot of reasons. So that's an entire conversation in itself. And I don't know if we have time for all of that.
No, that's okay, because I want to, obviously talk to the audience about your new business, kind of what that transition was like, getting out of the nonprofit space, even just the fears of okay, I want to start this business. I have this idea.
Yeah.
Tell us about the knitting.
Yeah. So to clarify, I'm not fully out of the nonprofit space because I do love it so much. I did love all the functions of my job, and I still freelance in that capacity for a few organizations, which is really, really great. But
yes.
The idea of transitioning out, for a lot of people, was very scary to me. So I kind of finagled this idea of freelancing and still paying the bills while exploring this other area.
Yes.
So
cool.
I founded Knitly. The idea behind that was, I want to work in the areas of my passions, and knitting is one of those passions. It's
awesome. Did you knit your sweater?
I did knit my sweater.
I was like, wait, maybe I should ask this question, but that's amazing.
Thank you.
That is amazing.
I have a little bit of ADHD, and I tend to go down rabbit holes when I discover things that I love. So I don't know if anyone else has this experience.
I'm sure they do.
But I started knitting about 8 years ago and quickly discovered that it was amazing for my mental health. Yeah. And actually a really great hobby for my career at the time because although we were very busy, there was also a lot of hurry up and waiting downtime. Yeah. So it was really nice to be able to just kind of have a little mental health break and do a little bit of knitting while I'm still present at my job in a lot of ways.
Definitely.
So anyway, it was kind of just one of those things that was percolating in the back of my head. How can I do something with this passion of mine? And my husband at the time was a consultant at McKinsey, and he goes, you know what? Knitting would make a great team event. And that was a really great idea for me to kind of just get into, start my own business, get into the corporate space, get a little bit of that corporate money.
Definitely. Yeah. It's so smart because even in we are in a co-work space and they're always hosting events and thinking of ideas out of the box ideas, not your typical go out for drinks and whatever, but this is just, it's so unique and it's beneficial in so many ways.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Yeah.
So, I talk about the mental health benefits of knitting quite a bit. It's actually been shown that knitting lowers your stress and blood pressure just as much as meditation and yoga, which is surprising. And for someone who finds it really hard to sit and meditate, knitting has been a really great kind of I like to call it an active fidget. That kind of focuses you in the same way.
And you're building a skill, whereas I can think about, in this age, right, with the phones and we're constantly scrolling and if we're bored, we open, it's it gives us something else to do, but it's also beneficial. You're learning something, you're creating something. So that adds that sense of fulfillment to what you're doing.
It's very satisfying. Yeah. And I think a lot of people who come to my workshops actually report that exact thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you have Christmas gifts, you have, I don't know, the opportunities are endless.
Yes,
right?
You can do whatever you want to do with knitting. Yeah. There are no rules. So, if you want to knit the same scarf over and over and over again, that's great. And if you want to go down the rabbit hole as I did and knit some sweaters and dog sweaters and
yes, the dog sweaters. That's a good market in of itself.
Yes.
These days.
Yeah. They're tiny and they're very satisfying. They're
so
very cute.
Dolls. I mean, there's just so many.
You can knit so many things.
Yeah. And headbands. I'm thinking about the winter time coming, Boston, how it gets. So
exactly. Yeah. That was one of the other reasons I took up knitting, is because I was tired. This now goes into the sustainability conversation. Well, I was very tired of buying sweaters at J. Crew, Banana Republic, what have you. You turn the label over and it's 70% plastic. That's what polyester is. That's what, all those things are. And they do not keep you warm. And they also do not ever disintegrate. So, So if, sustainability and slow fashion is one of those things that is also interesting to you.
So, and that speaks to the environment, and I think even generations now are caring more about the environment. Workplaces are becoming green. So there's so many things that I haven't even thought about, right? It's wow.
It's a convergence of a lot of things. Yeah. I like to say that, knitting is not a granny hobby, there's a lot of elements to it that can appeal to a lot of people, from, the sustainability aspect, the mental health benefits. If you like to buy things, let me tell you, yarn shopping and knitting are two separate hobbies. I have an entire closet full of yarn. It brings a lot of joy. But also, if you like animals, there are fiber festivals to go to where you can see the sheep and the alpaca that your fibers come from. It's a lot of fun.
That is cool. Wow. Yeah, this is a new world. So you mentioned workshops.
Yes.
How are you keeping this business going? Tell us a little bit more about kind of that side of it.
So my primary clients are typically corporate teams. I've worked with teams from Google, Twitter, Vertex, MGH, McKinsey.
Is it mostly local? Because you mentioned your husband being in consulting. Is it through word of mouth?
It's through word of mouth. I'm also on a few different marketplaces because team events are, you say, are becoming a huge deal these days.
Culture. We should definitely talk about that culture
workplace
piece.
Culture.
Yes.
Especially with teams that are now mostly remote. A lot of the tech teams I work with, they've never met each other in person because they're in different parts of the country or even different parts of the world. I'm working with a team next month that have people in the US and Poland and UK and India.
Wow.
So, everyone's looking for events that aren't, let's sit down and have a drink.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And are these, so some of these around the world, are they virtual? So they're virtual workshops?
We run virtual and in-person workshops.
Very cool.
Correct.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then, so I wanted to take it back a little bit and kind of jump back to like getting into this. Like, it's so cool to see you passionate about this. You know, the business is going well, but like, we mentioned, like, you know, before we were talking about this concept of imposter syndrome.
Yes.
And I find that I think we should talk about that because I think a lot of women who want to start businesses, are currently running businesses, are in these high-level roles. They don't talk about this feeling that I think runs rampant through the industry.
Everyone.
Yeah.
If you don't have a little bit of imposter syndrome, you're lying.
So yeah, what was that like? I mean, yeah.
I mean, as a minority woman coming from the arts, imposter syndrome is not unfamiliar to me. You know, I don't, as a culture, we don't necessarily value the arts in the same way as we value a lot of other more serious careers, I think, as people see. So, you know, it's always something that's been in the back of my head. And, you know, when I started with the idea of this business, I was always really nervous about telling people, like, oh, I'm going to go start a knitting business. And that was always like just this little...
So you were kind of afraid of like judgment, kind of.
Yes.
From peers or like maybe folks that you used to work with.
Anyone.
Or like just anybody. Yeah. Just like, how would this be received?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
How would this be received?
What will they think of me?
Exactly.
Or,
yeah. It's like, is this lame? Is this is this weird?
Yeah.
But you know, I have very supportive, I have a very supportive close
That's
circle.
important.
Yes. And my husband has this never-ending he's a never-ending fount of encouragement, which I'm very grateful
so great.
for.
Yeah, that's hopeful.
And it does help, you know, when your friends, when your family, who have this kind of
I think, having supportive people around you definitely makes such a difference. But also your passion. I think like making that choice, I think it's probably the passion maybe that's driving you to like, or I don't know, what is it? What is it that really...
You know, it's something that I truly believe in. Like I firsthand experience the benefits of finding a hobby like knitting. And I think as the imposter syndrome thing, you know, the more you go down the road and the more successes you might come across or the more encouragement you might come across, I think that slowly subsides a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm the kind of person who does need a lot of practice, kind of either encouraging myself or hearing that encouragement and doing the thing to make myself feel more confident.
It's like, exactly. The steps to building the confidence. Maybe it's self-affirmation. I feel like that entrepreneurial way is just you kind of just have to dive into it.
Yes.
And then every little step that you take like builds that confidence. Then you get that workshop and it goes well. And then it's like just builds upon and then you get the referrals and so
exactly. You get more clients and you're like, oh, okay, this is actually doing something. Oh God.
And then I think their feedback too, like once you get those clients that really appreciate what you're doing and you, like, I remember feeling like when somebody would like compliment you, right? Like a client or whoever, and they're like, wow, thank you so much. And it's like, wow, like I did something good and people are liking this. So I think that feedback is great.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So in terms of, I think an important piece of, especially like what I do too, and what a lot of folks are doing is building their teams, you know, building companies, trying to, even huge companies, changing their culture. And let's talk more about, I guess, the benefits of like, team, like what research have you done or seen or experienced?
So, you know, there's a lot of actual research being done on the health benefits and the stress busting benefits of knitting. But what I'm seeing when I take this to teams and in the corporate space, you know, especially, it's really nice to have everyone on a level playing field because as adults, and I see this every single time I run a workshop, as adults, we do not learn brand new skills very often.
Yeah.
Think about it. When was the last time you learned something totally new that wasn't based on something else?
That's so true. Like as adults, we get very, very much in our comfort zones.
Yeah.
What I have noticed as a parent, though, when I watch my kid, like,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm like, oh, well, geez, I should be stepping out of my comfort zone. If I expect them to do that, like, I should be doing that.
Yeah.
So it's
confidence building for a lot of people, you know. It's only yarn and sticks, and a lot of people stress out about it. They're like, oh my God, am I doing this right? And I'm like,
well, let me show
Yes, please try one on.
All right, so okay.
So these are our basic little cows.
Okay.
They are the first project I like to introduce people to. They're
Cute.
very warm and cozy, and that comes with your outfit.
And easy.
Yeah,
like
it's very easy to throw on because, you know, unlike a scarf,
I feel like I look very fallish.
Yes, it's a great color combination.
Yeah.
But this is the first project I teach people, and it's a very simple project. You know, it's basically it's really knitting 101. You put the stitches on your needle. You knit one basic stitch. It's not a particularly long project, and then you sew the two ends together to make a continuous little cow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
this is a project that a beginner could complete.
I can even see where it's sewn. Like it's okay. There we go. Wow.
It's something that you can complete as a beginner in about 4 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
Which I think is ideal because you want that immediate sense of satisfaction.
Yes. Because I could just see it like somebody starts and they're like, I don't even I can't finish this. So that's a good.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's how they build their confidence.
Exactly.
Good.
It's a lot of positive reinforcement is what I do.
Absolutely. Yes.
But you know, going back to the team benefits is that, you know, you get teams with managers and subordinates.
Sure.
And everyone is on a level playing field. Everyone hasn't learned a new skill in a very long time, and I think it's very humbling for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And especially with the managers, I like to think that it might put them in a mental space to be more compassionate about when employees aren't
they're learning,
picking up things as quickly as they want to.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Like you said, it evens. I could see that evening the playing field, making everyone feel like there's that common ground.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
it's
not
a great bonding
something,
experience.
Yeah, and that's not something you can get from like having drinks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that's such a great great idea.
And you know, everyone comes out of it and they can talk about their experiences. But also, knitting is very communal, like a lot of crafting is.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of us knitters get together in groups and have drinks and chat and knit together, you know.
And I think it's cool too because it carries on like the tradition. Like when we first started chatting, like I was thinking about like my grandmothers and like them knitting like all of our stockings and scarves and baby blankets and just like it's so special. And I just remember thinking, oh geez, I would love to learn how to do that, but then we get so busy and it's like, you know, so
and so much of our busyness is self-inflicted sometimes.
Yes.
And it's actually in the digital age very refreshing to have something completely analog to go to sometimes.
Yes.
I say that and then it's so ironic because I do more than half of my workshops are virtual.
Yeah.
So everyone's staring at their computer.
But it's good because it's versatile.
Yeah.
And it's like it's nice to see like these skills becoming like reinvented and just applicable.
Exactly. And you know, I had the misconception that knitting was, you know, granny squares and very old-fashioned looking things, and as you can see from what I'm wearing.
Yeah, that's why I was almost afraid to ask you if you made it because I was like, it looks like it could be Gap or like Banana Republic. Like I didn't know.
The thing with crafts is that they move with the times, and we are seeing a ton of new designers. So you know, like if whatever you're into, there's a designer out there designing patterns that you will want to knit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool. It ties into all of this, like this gig economy where everyone's doing their own businesses and projects and selling things on e-commerce. Yeah. Maybe it's like those, what are those websites, the crafting? Etsy.
Yeah.
Etsy is huge and it empowers, perfect for our podcast, it empowers women.
Yes.
I think especially with the flexibility aspect where like I remember being home with my babies and still wanting to feel productive and do things and create and still run a business. Like, there are
so many outlets for so many people. Whatever you want to do, whatever you're good at, I think it's important to have a self-check-in every so often and to sit down and just creatively think about what you could be doing if you're feeling like you could be doing more.
Yeah.
Not that we all need to be doing more all the time either.
But I think it's like that concept of like fulfillment too. Yes. It's like sometimes, like you said, you're working so much and you're spinning your reels and you're getting burnt out, but then it's like that reflection piece. Yeah. And figuring out how to like reconnect to your passions, and maybe doing something like this can help remind you of other things that, you know, other skills and other things that you're good at. And sometimes we can get stuck in a rut with our life, and it's so refreshing to see.
Yeah, and knitting has done that for me a lot. I used to sit down 2 hours every Sunday morning with my coffee and a podcast and just knit.
I love that.
That was just kind of a way to center myself. These days, I still knit, but not as much as I used to because life gets busy sometimes. But I think it's really healthy to have something to go to with the ebbs and flows of life.
Definitely. Yeah. So tell me more about the business. Like, are these workshops, like, they're just live? Like, do you have them recorded now? How are you, and I guess that leads me to my next question, is how are you moving the business forward?
So I love connecting with people. It's one of the real joys I had in my previous jobs, and one that I was very mindful to take forward, and that's why I run workshops now. But I personally love meeting people and sharing my experiences and my passions with them, and I do think that carries over into their experience as well of it.
Definitely.
I don't think we'll be moving away from the live model. Whether it's in person or virtual. I do have a few other instructors that I call on to take some of the workshops off my plate sometimes. But we do also, there's not very much of this, but I do sell individual beginner's learning kits on my website. Oh. And with that comes little individual tutorials that will take you through a project, and those have been very useful.
And those are video.
They're video tutorials.
Yeah.
Because YouTube is great, and I learned how to knit through YouTube. Actually,
definitely.
I never took
I think about
class.
anything I'm trying to put together, or like I always the YouTube videos are very key. And
whether I'm trying to fix my washing machine or learn how to knit,
definitely, definitely, and that could be a good opportunity too. I don't know on the marketing front, but like, what are the next steps like with the business too? Like, where do you see it going?
The business is growing. We're the number of workshops we're doing is increasing. I am looking to hire a business development partner. Not really hire, because I truly do want a partner who will come bring something to the table and help me grow this business.
That collaboration piece. Like, I talk to other entrepreneurs, right? And it's like, it can feel like, and I'm part of entrepreneur groups too, and it can feel lonely, right? You're trying to build something. Absolutely. You love it, but then you want that person to like, vibe off of and collaborate. And
it's really hard sitting in an echo chamber of one. Yeah. Truly. Because as someone who used to work in an office environment, I really do miss it. I really do miss having someone else to, either commiserate with or bounce ideas off
and celebrate.
Yeah, exactly. Celebrating. Yeah. And although my husband is very good at that, it's different because they're not in with you every single day inside the business, nor do I ever want him to be.
Everyone's different with that. I happen to be working with mine, but everyone's like, wow. But that's okay.
But I get it. It's really nice to have like a business partner.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think that's what someone to fill in the blanks.
Or looking to start a business, maybe they're passionate about something. What's your advice for them kind of making that next step?
There's the short, very encouraging version, which is just go do it.
Yep.
And the longer version is, there are practicalities to that as well. But I think it is helpful to sit down and really think about what in your career you enjoy. What is important to you? For some people, having passion for what they do is more important than how much money they make.
Absolutely.
And I think you do have to sit down and really go think about that. And
envisioning your perfect situation.
Exactly.
And that's not always about the fancy house or that, because I think about that too. I'm like, okay, say I have this perfect whatever, but am I really happy? Would I be happy?
Exactly.
What do I want to be doing on a day-to-day basis?
Yes. Like, what I want to be doing on a day-to-day basis is to have passion about what I'm doing, the actual content of what I'm doing.
Yep.
But I also love meeting people. I love talking to people, learning about what they do. And that's why, again, like the in-person workshops are not going anywhere for me. For someone else, they, if they started this business, they might prioritize growing the business in more profitable ways that might include selling more kits and things like that. Yeah. And I've always been very adamant, like that is not where I want this business to go.
Yeah.
So I think sitting down and really being honest with yourself
and what does success look like? Like you were saying, it might not be like number of kits sold. Maybe it's people reached or people changed through this experience, and having those types of like deeper testimonials and having that strong connection to what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. But no, this has been awesome. I love, like, this is such a unique business. I love hearing about this and your journey and just like making that decision. It's so relatable for me, and I think a lot of folks out there that are looking to maybe dive into their passion too, or maybe they're figuring it out, or maybe they're starting to experience that burnout. Who knows? But it's nice to hear that you've been successfully transitioning and making that work for yourself, and seeing the benefits, and other folks are seeing the benefits too, clearly. And if they want to get in touch with you, we'll definitely link the website and everything. But thank you so much, Wei Jing, for sharing your story. So awesome to meet you, and pop off, queens.